There is a moment in every man's life when he realizes that calm alone is not enough. Discipline alone is not enough. Even courage by itself is not enough. There are times when life demands something deeper, something harder, something that comes from a place most people never touch. The Vikings had a name for that place. They called it the Berserker. Most people today think the Berserker was a wild animal, a man who lost control and drowned in rage. That's wrong. The Berserker state wasn't chaos. It was controlled intensity. It was the ability to summon every ounce of strength, focus, and aggression at the exact moment it was needed. Not before, not after, on command. If you've ever felt stuck, hesitant, or unable to act when it mattered, stay with me. Because the Berserker mindset is not about violence. It's about breaking the mental barriers that keep you small. It's about learning how to access the part of yourself that refuses to back down. The part that moves forward when everyone else freezes. The Vikings understood something modern men forget. Aggression is not the enemy. Uncontrolled aggression is the enemy. But controlled aggression, focused, disciplined, and directed, is one of the most powerful psychological tools a human being can develop. The Berserker trained himself to enter a state of absolute commitment. No hesitation, no second guessing, no internal debate. When the moment came, he acted, and that is why he was feared. Not because he was reckless, but because he was decisive. If you're still here, you're not looking for entertainment. You're looking for strength. You're looking for a way to build a mind that doesn't fold under pressure. A mind that can make decisions. A mind that can protect your family. A mind that can walk into a room and project confidence without saying a word. If that's you, subscribe now. This is the path you've been searching for. Let's go deeper. The Berserker state began long before battle. It started with preparation, breath work, cold exposure, fasting, silence. These weren't rituals for show. They were psychological conditioning. They taught the warrior to sit with discomfort until discomfort lost its power. They taught him to control his breathing until his mind obeyed him. They taught him to endure hunger, cold, and pain without breaking. Listen carefully, because this is where most men fail to understand the true power of these practices. When a berserker stood in freezing water until his body screamed for relief, he wasn't just building physical tolerance. He was teaching his nervous system that his mind is stronger than his body's complaints. Every second he stayed in that water, he was programming himself with a truth that would serve him in battle. Discomfort is temporary, but your will is permanent. When he practiced controlled breathing before combat, drawing air deep into his lungs and releasing it with precision, he was learning to regulate his fear response. He was training his body to remain calm even when his heart wanted to explode. He was creating a neural pathway that said, "I control this vessel. This body obeys me," not the other way around. When he fasted, sitting with the gnawing emptiness in his gut, he was severing the connection between desire and action. He was proving to himself that he didn't need to satisfy every urge immediately. He could want something and still maintain absolute discipline. That single skill translated directly to battle, where the urge to flee or surrender had to be ignored completely. And the silence, the long hours sitting alone with nothing but his thoughts. Modern men fill every moment with noise, distraction, entertainment. The Berserker did the opposite. He sat in silence until he could hear the voice of his true self, until he knew exactly who he was and what he stood for. That internal clarity became unshakable certainty in combat. Modern men avoid discomfort. Berserkers sought it out. They understood that a man who trains his mind to stay calm in discomfort becomes unstoppable in conflict. Another part of the Berserker mindset was identity. A Berserker didn't wonder who he was. He didn't negotiate with himself. He didn't ask for permission. He carried a clear internal code. He knew what he stood for. He knew what he would fight for, and he knew what he would never tolerate. That clarity created a psychological force that most people today never experience. When you know who you are, decisions become simple, boundaries become firm, anxiety loses its grip. The Berserker didn't waste energy on doubt. He saved his energy for action. Now let's address something rarely discussed: the presence of women in this warrior culture. While the historical record is limited, the Norse sagas speak of shield maidens, women who fought with the same ferocity as their male counterparts. Some stories describe women who entered a trance-like state similar to the berserkers, channeling the spirit of wolves or bears. Whether every detail is literal or symbolic doesn't matter. What matters is what it reveals about the Viking worldview. Strength was not limited to men. Ferocity was not limited to men. The culture respected anyone who could stand firm in the face of danger. And that tells you something important. The Berserker mindset is not about gender. It's about the human capacity for controlled intensity. It's about the ability to rise when the moment demands it. And even the idea of a woman entering that state was enough to command respect. Now back to you. There are moments in your life when you need to access something deeper, when you need to stop overthinking and start acting, when you need to speak with authority, when you need to protect someone you love, when you need to make a decision that changes everything. The Berserker mindset gives you the psychological tools to do that. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in your actual life. You're sitting across from someone who's testing you. Maybe it's a negotiation, maybe it's a confrontation, maybe it's someone who thinks they can intimidate you into backing down. In that moment, the Berserker state means you don't flinch. You don't look away. You don't soften your position to avoid conflict. You sit there with the calm certainty of a man who has already decided that retreat is not an option. Your body language doesn't waver. Your voice doesn't shake. You speak with the weight of absolute conviction, and the other person feels it. They recognize, on a primal level, that they're not dealing with someone who can be pushed, or you're facing a decision that terrifies you. A career change, a financial risk, a relationship choice that could alter everything. Most men in this position torture themselves with endless analysis, seeking certainty where none exists. The Berserker doesn't do that. He gathers the information he needs, he consults his internal code, and then he acts decisively, completely. He commits his full force to the path he's chosen, and that total commitment increases his chances of success more than any amount of careful planning ever could. Or maybe you're in a moment where someone you love is threatened. Not physically necessarily, but their well-being, their dignity, their future is on the line. In that instant, the Berserker state means you access a level of protective intensity that makes you formidable. You don't ask permission. You don't wait for consensus. You do what needs to be done, and you do it with such focused aggression that obstacles simply move out of your way. Controlled aggression is not about anger. It's about commitment. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't hesitate. It's about using your strength with precision. When you channel aggression through discipline, it becomes power. When you channel aggression through purpose, it becomes leadership. When you channel aggression through clarity, it becomes confidence. Let me give you a moment to sit with that. Imagine what your life would look like if you could access that state when you needed it. Imagine what you could accomplish if hesitation no longer controlled you. Imagine how different your relationships, your work, your goals would be if you carried the psychological presence of a man who acts with certainty. That is the gift of the Berserker mindset. If this message is hitting you in the right place, stay with me. This channel is building something rare, a brotherhood of men who want strength without cruelty, power without chaos, discipline without weakness. If that resonates with you, subscribe and join us. You're not just watching a video. You're stepping into a new identity. Now let's close with the core of Berserker psychology, and I want you to listen to this like your life depends on it. Intensity is not the enemy. Fear is not the enemy. Aggression is not the enemy. The enemy is losing control of yourself. The enemy is hesitation. The enemy is doubt. The Berserker teaches you to take the raw energy inside you and shape it, direct it, command it, use it. But here's what separates the men who actually transform from the men who just consume content and do nothing: action. The Berserkers didn't become elite warriors by thinking about combat. They became elite warriors by conditioning themselves daily, by seeking discomfort, by building their identity through repeated commitment to their code. So here's your challenge, and I mean this with absolute seriousness. Pick one element of Berserker conditioning and implement it this week. Not eventually. This week. Maybe it's cold exposure. Ending your shower with 1 minute of cold water while you control your breathing and stay calm. Maybe it's sitting in silence for 10 minutes without distraction, confronting your thoughts until you know yourself better. Maybe it's identifying one boundary you've been too weak to enforce and enforcing it with absolute firmness the next time it's tested. You don't need to become a Viking warrior overnight. You need to take one step toward building a mind that doesn't fold, and then another step, and then another. That's how the Berserker was forged. Not in a single moment of inspiration, but through relentless conditioning that built unbreakable strength over time. The path is here. The knowledge is here. The only question is whether you have what it takes to walk it. Most men don't. Most men will watch this video, feel a temporary surge of motivation, and then return to the same comfortable patterns that keep them weak. They'll tell themselves they'll start tomorrow. They'll make excuses. They'll choose comfort over strength. But you're not most men. If you were, you wouldn't have made it this far. You're here because something inside you recognizes that you're capable of more, that you're meant for more, that the version of yourself you've been settling for is a shadow of what you could become. The Berserker mindset is your weapon. Now use it. In the next video, we're going to break down the Viking law of reputation, the psychological weapon that allowed Norse warriors to control social power without saying a word. If you want to continue this path, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. This is warrior psychology. Your training never stops. Now go prove you're different. Go become who you're meant to be. Until next time, Skål. This isn't content for everyone. These ideas were never meant to be obvious. They were passed quietly, through discipline and experience. The next video goes deeper. If this way of thinking resonates, you already know what to do. Step forward here, subscribe, and continue.